The Honourable Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, Most Respected Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia, Respected President of Wapor Asia, Yaswan Desmok, paper presenters and participants. This conference is historic. It is the first time that Malaysia is hosting the Wapor Asia Conference, the chapter for the World Association for Public Opinion Research. The establishment of Wapor Asia recognizes the importance of public opinion research and polling by the general public, the government, and the universities. The electoral process and democratic governance are impetus for the development of public opinion research and polling in Asia. Asian countries practice various forms of electoral democracies, such as the presidential and the parliamentary electoral system. Millions are involved in the electoral process. Elections have given rise to a vibrant need for public opinion as politicians and political parties devise their strategies based on these findings. Public opinion and public opinion research are not just about elections. They are part of the mechanism to collect information on social issues and problems. Concerns on the level and structure of poverty in different countries are provided for through data collected by public opinion research organizations. Public opinion as a subject is taught in universities in Asia. One can say that ideas were adopted and adapted from the West, as Dr. Ijaz Gilani from Pakistan, a good friend of George Gallup, or Yaswan Desmok of India, who had cited examples. But Asian public opinion researchers created new measurements of concepts, such as the one on poverty, as measured by Dr. Maha Mangahas, the social weather stations of the Philippines. Comparative public opinion research is championed early by our pioneers. In this, I must quote the good work done by Professor Takashi Inoguchi for conducting public opinion research in countries in Asia. The right to conduct public opinion is championed by researchers who recognize that any inhibitions would prevent people from feeling the pulse of society. This right to conduct polls has been articulated well by Dr. Robert Chung as well as Yaswan Desmok on several occasions in the past. Having made my point, I therefore would like to welcome you to the Wapor Asia Conference today, a conference that is hosted by the International Islamic University Malaysia. The planning for this conference was made early in February, but COVID-19 in March 2020, and it is still with us until today, made us to postpone the conference to today. This conference is very challenging. A virtual conference is something that is very, very new and something that we know very little of. We find the going tough as we incorporated recording sessions, live sessions, and hybrid sessions that involved both recordings and live sessions together. This conference received support from various agencies. I must express my heartfelt appreciation to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, for his willingness to officiate our conference this morning. I know the Prime Minister has a very tight schedule, but given the limited time in his hands, he has nevertheless found time to deliver his speech and will soon officiate this conference. RIUM has been caring and concerned with our conference. The rector himself, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, and staff were always there to help us. I must pay my appreciation to the Information Technology Division and staff, in particular to its Chief Information Officer, Professor Datuk Norbik Bashar Idris, for their splendid assistance. The Dean and staff of the Kuliah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences have also been most helpful. We are able to get the services and special sponsorship of Netcare Digital Technologies. To our sponsors, Permodalan Nasional Berhad or PNB and Bank Muamalat Malaysia, we say terima kasih. I was fortunate to have the support of my colleagues in the Department of Communication. We stood as one when the going was tough, and we became tougher as we move on to meet the tough challenges. We met head-on, confronting the Big Bang. Appreciation should also be directed to the President of Wapor Asia, Yaswan Desmukh, for his constant support and advice. I should also appreciate the support of the pioneers of public opinion researchers in Asia who forwarded and enabled us to record the struggle and the challenges they faced in the early days of public opinion research in Asia. We are having 49 presenters coming from 16 different countries. We have to thank the 6 reviewers for the evaluation of the abstracts. With that, I once again would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, for agreeing to officiate the conference today. Thank you to all the paper presenters and participants. Hope you will have a wonderful learning experience in enjoying this virtual conference. Thank you very much.
Dear friends, it's my privilege and honor to welcome you to the 3rd Wapor Asia Conference. This has been an unprecedented year so far. When you elected me to the office of Wapor Asia Presidency on 1st of January this year, I had written a mail to all of you with really exciting timeline and things we were planning to do this year. None of us, virtually none of us at that point of time had any idea whatsoever that within just 3 months the entire world is going to come to a standstill like never before. When we were listening to some of our seniors in the recently concluded Wapor Central Annual Conference, some of the seniors did mention that this probably is of a scale which they have never witnessed since the Second World War, and where without even firing a single bullet, the entire world seemed to have halted. We don't remember any other incident or situation in the recent human history where everybody has suffered so much on a global scale due to a crisis which is probably man-made, as feared by so many in the polls conducted across the globe. As the COVID-19 crisis brought the entire world to a halt, there is also hope and optimism on how all of us together are going to find a way out and move together in a better direction. At Wapor Asia, all the colleagues have been in touch with each other, formally or informally, and many of us have collaborated on how to use the public opinion research in these crisis times for finding solutions that could be long-lasting and useful for all of us. There has been a great deal of collaboration as far as the research instruments are concerned. There are global studies that are happening as we are talking, and also there are a lot of encouraging collaborations as far as the distribution of know-how is concerned within the Wapor Asia. I am personally privy to many colleagues from many countries reaching out and helping out each other on technical grounds, on academic grounds, and working together to find solutions of data collection, perception mapping, advanced analytics, and whatnot. When majority of the face-to-face fieldwork had come to a halt, that kind of camaraderie and collaboration, that is what defines the future for us. This year was not only critical in terms of the pandemic, but also in terms of diplomatic relations across the globe, democratization, and the challenges that the democratic norms of the world are being tested through. We had an unfortunate event in Hong Kong when, where our ex-president of Wapor Asia, Dr. Robert Chung, was made to suffer just for doing his duty as a public opinion researcher. His office and work was disturbed in a way that has to be taken into account of a brute force of undemocratic nature in order to suppress the public opinion research. Let's all remember that the suppression of public opinion research is nothing but a direct suppression of public opinion at large. We are grateful to the way that the Wapor Central and all the colleagues across the globe have come together in condemning that incident and supporting Dr. Robert Chung for the brilliant work that he is doing to celebrate the undying flame of democratic spirit that he carries, not just in terms of being an individual Hong Konger, but also in terms of representing the global community of public opinion research at large. I would like to take this opportunity to underline what Wapor family, including the Wapor Central and Wapor Asia, stands for. We stand for the unwavering support of our right to conduct free and fair public opinion research, no matter where, no matter how, and no matter when. This unwavering commitment to the professional standards of conduct in public opinion research is directly related to our unending support for the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and to freedom of conducting public opinion research. As we talk this year, at this point of time, public opinion or public across the world is marching towards the democratic rights and democratic norms. Countries across the globe are still taking the process of elections very, very seriously. We have seen successfully conducted elections across the globe, and to our surprise, the common man on the street, in spite and despite of all the risks of COVID-19, they have risked and come out in large number to vote. As the world discusses the US elections, we must not forget to discuss about so many elections that have undergone at the local and the national level in our own Asia-Pacific region this year. The elections from New Zealand to elections in Sri Lanka to Israel and everywhere in between, they have been celebrated in their own way. In India, where I come from, we have elections going on right now as we speak, where in the arguably the poorest of the poor and least developed part of the India known as Bihar. An unprecedented turnout even in these times of crisis from that bottom of the pyramid, from the poorest of the poor in India, has only underlined how much that bottom of the pyramid actually respects and appreciates the idea of democratization. Indeed, it is heartening to acknowledge that the safety and security of the democracy at large rests with the enthusiasm of the same bottom of the pyramid and their participation in the democratic practices. Well, my friends in Malaysia must have on record that my paper on anti-incumbency index over the last 15 years, which I have updated almost on a yearly basis, we had calculated and mentioned that it would be probably around 2019 when the Malaysian public opinion may go for a complete anti-incumbent verdict. That was pure research that had no subjectivity in it, just the objective data and understanding how the public opinion in terms of anti-incumbency works in a democratic system and how the different electoral systems, they give way for that expression of that anti-incumbency sentiment in democratic societies. I was really glad and happy to see the last election results in Malaysia. Well, not because of being partisan to any democratic party or side, but purely because the way that all of us were able to see and understand that anti-incumbency index and the sentiment of the Malaysian system, and so correctly predict the way it might bring change in the Malaysian society that you all are witnessing right now. Over the years, those who have read that paper or listened to that presentation in 15 years in various Wapor conferences, including my colleagues from South Africa and India and many other countries, who are using that scale now for various democratic systems and creating a timeline on how the public opinion research and the election research actually go in hand and map for the changes that we are witnessing. As we have always mentioned, that pollsters are the chroniclers of future history, and that future history is actually being written today. Every time we conduct an interview, every time we run a table, every time we analyze the trend on any particular issue, we are actually underlying the fact that pollsters are chroniclers of future history. On that positive note, I welcome all of you once again to the Wapor Asia Conference in Kuala Lumpur and wishing this to be a great success. My heartfelt thanks to our host, Professor Syed Adid and his wonderful team for all their hard work that they have been planning for almost a year for this conference, and pray that very soon, all of us get a chance to meet in person, face to face, just like we used to before, in the next Wapor Asia conference, as and when that happens. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Greeting of peace and a very good morning. Let me first of all, on behalf of the university, welcome you to this particular conference, and we are very delighted to have this conference in Asia for the first time, and the university is very privileged to host this meeting at this moment. We would like especially to welcome the speakers, organizers, and also participants from all over the world to talk about something which we think it is very pertinent and very important at this juncture of our history, when we look at opinions, perspectives, and also the context of fake news, post-truth. All this, I think, will contribute to very much what we are going to discuss today, hopefully. I would like, first of all, to re-emphasize that we are now at a very critical junction of a very unique phase of our history, talking about the post-COVID-19 or the coronavirus pandemic that is now invading us all over the world. And therefore, the context of this conference would, I guess, take a very different turn from the kind of conferences that you have had previous to this. In this case, I would like to basically re-synthesize what has been mentioned many times before, when public opinion is very important as a collective view to determine who we are as a group of people on this planet Earth, and how do we make our movement into the future. This is something that I think all of us owe to ourselves and also the future generation, as how we're going to navigate the world at large using public opinion as a source of information to take us forward. This, therefore, becomes a very important conference for us to decide and to agree what is the steps that we're going to take together to move forward. In a sense, we are all interconnected. In the sense, everything that we do are interrelated, and we move beyond just our individual selves, our community, our nation, but talks more on a global level where humanity is involved at all levels in our discussion. This is something that I hope the public opinion people who are involved in this will look at this as a kind of an impact that will give us another way of looking at what the future is like. We are looking at factors that foster growth of public opinion, the role of media, both mainstream and the new media as such, the digital media, as well as public opinion in the context of power, politics, conflict, and may I add this time, even health and security. This is a time, I think, where we look at public opinion as a kind of a choice that is defined by the COVID-19 itself. The COVID-19, I believe, has put a lot of perspective as far as public opinion is concerned. As we fight the COVID-19, we are also fighting fake news, we are also fighting ignorance, we are also fighting arrogance at the same time. All this, I think, has its place in influencing what public opinion would be like as we move into the future. Of significant interest, therefore, we want to look at what are the consequences if we don't do well in monitoring or in putting public opinion in its right perspective. I would like to quote in many examples that we see around the world where individual opinions tend to overshadow or tend to overwhelm collective opinions. As a result, many countries that has taken this position are suffering a lot more in terms of health, in terms of economy, and also in terms of social well-being. This is something that I thought is avoidable. If we know what we are going to do as a group of people that looks at public opinion as a kind of a platform that all of us can agree and understand where our future is going to be and how we're going to navigate the future together. This kind of a consensus, when we talk about social solidarity rather than social distancing, becomes an important point for us to belabor. All along, we are talking about physical distancing rather than social distancing. These two words, I think, make a lot of difference as to where we're going to take ourselves and our people and the world around us moving forward in the kind of way that all of us would have to live together in solidarity one way or the other. These are issues that may be overlooked because they are rather small in its understanding, and I hope this is something that this conference will take time to consider the choice of word that we are using as far as making public opinion counts for all of us in this world today. As far as this university is concerned, we are taking public opinion in a very serious way. We have been educating our students right from day one as what COVID-19 is all about. How do we handle it in a kind of understanding that everybody in the university know what it means? For example, for us, the word COVID means collaboration. It means also openness. We also mean vigilance or values. It also means inclusive. And last but not least, it means discipline. All this, I think, has a relationship with public opinion as such. And therefore, these are values that I hope we will be able to anchor on so that we can move forward together, being a university, being a community, and certainly being part of the global society as such. So I am really very delighted that we are given this choice to host this particular conference. And I hope this particular conference will be able to educate us further as we move into the world that is uncertain, the world that is chaotic, and the world that is also ambiguous, what we call the VUCA world. This world, I think, is a new world for us in the context of the COVID-19, and I hope we will find some definite way of how to handle this given public opinion as the trust of how to do this moving forward together. So on that note, let me welcome you again. Let me thank you for making time and also devoting a lot of your effort in trying to re-educate ourselves to look at what we need to do in the future, be it a new normal or the renewed normal that we have left and forgotten for a long time. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Have a fruitful and impactful deliberation. We look forward to your findings and how to make it relevant moving forward, inshallah. Assalamualaikum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And a very good morning to all of you. Professor Datuk Sri Syed Arabi Aidid, Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Yang Berbahagia Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector, International Islamic University Malaysia, Mr. Yashwan Deshmukh, President of Wapor Asia, paper presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to congratulate the organizers of World Association for Public Opinion Research Asia Conference 2020 for hosting this conference for the first time in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The theme of this conference, Public Opinion, Present Reflections and Beyond 2020, is very significant and timely, as the whole world is currently fighting the severe COVID-19 pandemic. The contribution of public opinion to government policies and decision-making in challenging times has never been more crucial, as it is the factor that keeps Malaysia remain a stable and peaceful nation. Leaders who pay attention to public opinion will be better able to understand the communities they are trying to serve as a responsible and informed government. Malaysia's exemplary success story is not accomplished by miraculous means. It is a concerted effort of a nation built on trust, and that trust is won by the government by first addressing the public's immediate concerns. And that is why we are here today. Each of us here value the opinion of the public, and we want to know what more we can do to help them. I believe this conference would generate discussions to assist government institutions and establishments to bring about further reforms in society and economy that will benefit the people. The global episode we have witnessed so far has called for public attention to examine and understand the practice of a new normal that is directly connected to human values, attitudes, and behaviors of the people. The unprecedented new normal could determine the direction we are heading from 2020 until the pandemic is over. And this pandemic situation has challenged scholars, academics, media practitioners, and professionals to understand the deeper aspects of humanism that touches on values and sentiments. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference provides an excellent opportunity for us to deliberate on the past and capture some of the recent issues developing in the community, and to create awareness among public opinion scholars and researchers to delve further into more specific areas. And this conference will not only help the government in its review of public policy, but will also benefit the corporate sector in setting appropriate directions and philosophy. Such public opinion studies may have global significance to be shared across the world. I would like to thank all of you for the honor accorded to me to officiate the opening of the Kuala Lumpur Wapor Asia Conference 2020 this morning. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.